Morning.
Good
We
morning.
appreciate everyone. We appreciate everyone joining us either in person or via video conference for our Monday morning meeting, June 22nd. We will stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Ronnie, would you honor us with an invocation? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Father, as we come before you this morning, we want to give you praise, honor, and glory. Thank you for the blessings that you bestowed upon us. We pray, Lord, you'll be with us today, that you'd give us guidance, wisdom to conduct the town's business. We give you the praise and glory for it all. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. All right. Council members, let's see, who do I have on video?
Lisa's here.
Do
Chris.
I have Chris Moody? All right. Good morning. So I've got Chris and Lisa. Due to the fact that we are continuing to do a combination, we will need to do a roll call for each vote. I'm sorry, that's a little longer taking time, but I think it's appropriate. So, council members, you have received the minutes from June the 8th, 2020 from our regular council meeting. Are there any changes, deletions, corrections, additions? Really? Sounded like a truck horn. All right, hearing none, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. We have a motion and a second. Chris Moody, how do you vote?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Trudy?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
And myself will also, so it's a unanimous vote to accept the minutes from June 8th. Public comment. Public comments may be submitted in writing to the town clerk via mail at 200 Tom Hall Street, Fort Mill, South Carolina, or by email at vburgess@fortmillsc.gov. When submitting a comment, please include your name and address for the record. All public comments received at least 1 hour prior to the start of the meeting will be presented to town council by staff during the information discussion portion of the meeting. Presentations will begin this morning with presentation number 1, a staff award. Davey Broom will do the honors for us.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to begin first by saying that I believe that we have the finest police force in the state of South Carolina. I truly appreciate the efforts that in their efforts in serving the citizens. I believe what makes a terrific department are dedicated and professional staff members. We are here to recognize today 2 officers that have achieved a milestone for serving 25 years in law enforcement. And I would like to call Major Brian Zachary up to the front of the room. We'll present his first.
Gwen, I'm not sure if you can hear us, but we cannot hear you.
Chris, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
So whatever you
Yes.
said, Major Zachary, we need a repeat.
No, we gotta love COVID-19, don't we? So Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Members of council, again, this is a 25-year service award, to be presented to Captain Scott Williams for his service with the town. And I think been with us for nearly 10 years. About 10 years. So again, I've had the opportunity and pleasure of working with, Captain Williams on, several events and projects. And again, we're talking about true professionals here, and I am very proud to be able to work with he and, Major Zachary, on every one of those events. So thank you.
Thank you
For
very
your
much.
service for the town.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
I again can't express the thanks of this council and this community for the dedication, sacrifice, service, and the person that you are.
Well, I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
We couldn't be prouder.
Thank
Scott, come on.
Okay. Thank you so much, once again, and on every day, I'm thankful. Not just specific days, but every day. I'm thankful for those that serve our community. Thank you so much. We will now move into, there are no old business items. We'll move into new business items. New business item number 1, council to consider an extension of their emergency ordinance, which allowed the town council and other appointed board and commission members to participate in meetings electronically, and also review the town council public comment procedures during the COVID-19 emergency. Chris Pettit is our subject expert. Do I have a motion?
you. Make a motion to accept the business item number 1.
Second.
All right, I got a motion and a second. All right, Chris.
Can you hear us?
Yes. We have you.
Yes.
It's unanimous, yes.
All righty then.
Chris, you want to do? Mayor, we need to give him a few minutes.
Okay. We will take a couple of minutes, to allow Mr. Pettit to get back to his desk.
Public comments to him.
I did push him to the end of the meeting. Would you like to do them now?
I do have one, we can do it now if you'd
Let's
like.
do.
Okay, Mayor, we received one public comment, for this meeting, and while we're waiting for, Mr. Pettit to join us on the meeting, I'll go ahead and read this. The email came from Mr. Al Rogat, 1006 Cresthaven Lane, Fort Mill, South Carolina, 29715. Said, the first video meeting went well, and I appreciated being able to watch. If someone could find a way for the agenda to be displayed but not cover up all the council members, it would be appreciated. I'd also like to thank the council for opening the parks, which was one request that I had submitted regarding Walter Elisha Park. I'd like to throw my hat in the ring for the new combined planning advisory board, especially as the stormwater advisory board that I have been on for 10 years or more hasn't met since Paul Mitchell retired. So I am available for sure. Thank you, Al Roget.
Thank you, Mr. Rogat, for your, comments. It's always nice to hear compliments. And, we'll take into consideration your request. Technology's not my thing. I just get served by it. But, I agree it would be nice to have the agenda, which we can see, and we'll see what we can do about making it available to those that dial in. So thank you so very much. I'm waiting for Mr. Pettit to acknowledge that he's back at his desk and can handle our first new business item. I guess I should go ahead and say Happy Father's Day to all of you. Special day for special people. I certainly miss my dad. And all of you that continue to have the opportunity to hug your dad, do so.
Testing. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Can council hear me?
We can.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Did I run up here because I'm up on the agenda? Is that why?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I'm a little bit out of breath.
Number one.
Okay. So new business item number one. If you recall, this is the third time we've actually taken up this emergency ordinance. The state of South Carolina allows us to do 60-day emergency ordinances. So when COVID began, we originally enacted this emergency ordinance to allow town council members to electronically participate in meetings. And so this is just an extension of that previously approved emergency ordinance to allow that.
And just the motion, I'm looking to see, it says revised, and it does not say how long. If we are allowed a 60-day window, can we not move forward with a 60-day window this time?
This is another 60-day window, and it doesn't lock into doing any sort of electronic participation, but it just gives you that option. And on a meeting by meeting, case by case basis, town council can decide to do in person at any time, should they choose to.
Great. Thank you. Clarify the time. Any questions for Mr. Pettit?
Second page goes into sport leagues and summer camps.
Okay. Any further questions? Hearing none, the motion on the table is to approve new business item number one. We'll start with you, Lisa. How do you vote?
Was that me, Gwen? I'm sorry, we're struggling to hear Chambers. If it's me, then yes.
It is you, and thank you. Chris Moody, how do you
Yes.
vote?
How about yes?
Yes.
Trudy? Yes. Ronnie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
So do I.
And Jamie? I'm sorry, this is hard.
It is difficult. You're glancing off your head there, John.
I'm sorry, Jamie also voted yes, Virginia, so we have a unanimous vote. All right, new business item number two, approval to resume sports tourism tournaments on weekends at W's Bridge Park, starting June 27th and 28th, 2020, Brown Simpson. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
We're gonna have a motion
Second.
and a second. Brownie?
Yes, ma'am. Hope you can hear me okay.
Yes, we can.
Good morning to you, Mayor, and members of council. We are asking permission to resume our sports tourism tournaments. Before the COVID-19 virus hit, we were able to get one weekend in. It was that first weekend of March, and then we had to suspend everything after that. We currently work with two travel organizations, USSSA of North Carolina, and then also Top Gun USA Sports. I sent you a copy of their return to play guidelines. These will coincide with what our guidelines will be also at W Bridge Park, as far as the social distancing, also as far as the areas that will be shut off to the spectators, and where the players and the coaches also will be able to use behind the backstops. So we have all that put in place right now. We're actually waiting on our signage, which we will have in, excuse me, on Wednesday, because we start our church league softball program this Thursday. I'm happy to tell you that we have 19 teams in that. So we're looking forward to starting that Thursday. But we're just asking for permission to return. We've worked with these organizations for a long time in the past. I know both directors very well, and they're very serious about the guidelines that they put in place for the teams, for the travel teams, and we feel confident that we will be able to abide by these. Excuse me. And also, too, we will have a professional staff member also on site throughout the tournaments. I've got a schedule worked out on that weekly that we're putting together. We just ask your permission and approval, if we can, to restart those.
Okay, council, what questions might you have?
So-
Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, thank you, Gwen. So just a couple of questions. First off, are statements. Let's be sure, with it being a tournament, sometimes those that I've attended, we run out of bathroom supplies. So just make sure the person that is staffing is making sure we have plenty of paper towels, toilet paper, soap, all of those things, and are emptying the trashes on a regular basis.
Yes, ma'am, we will.
And then my second question, and it ties to this, but other tournaments, other travel ball, soccer, any other activities that we have, when will we be looking at moving forward with some of those availabilities for people?
From a soccer standpoint, we don't do really many soccer tournaments, and a lot of their tournaments are done over at the CAP, the Comporium Athletic Program Complex. I'm not sure exactly where the school district is with that. I know they've had everything suspended through the end of June, and I think they're looking at reopening some of those facilities also too. So we're just trying to take another step with opening our facilities. So I can't answer that question as far as when the soccer travel stuff will start back up. But I think it's soon.
Okay, and I was going to say, would we need to discuss as part of this motion or at a separate time allowing play to resume, whether it's travel, rec, practices at some of our other fields? Or are we covered with the ordinances we have had to be able to go ahead and open those practices when the need arises?
Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. That's really y'all's decision. We can bring you back a little bit more information if you want some more. But we have, as far as all of our facilities and everything, we have done everything that we're supposed to do from a standpoint of what the state and the CDC has asked us to do. So, if y'all need a little bit more information on that, you let us know, and we'll bring you what we can to you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Lisa. Good questions. I think Brownie and council and staff, our numbers in South Carolina have risen dramatically. We are told that it is partially, if not fully, due to extra testing, but I like the fact that we have the opportunity and reserve the right to make changes should things not improve. Prayerful for improvement, but I appreciate council's ability to take this slowly. If you have further questions for Brown, great. If not, I'll vote. Lisa, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Chris Moody?
I vote yes.
Amy Shirey?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Trudy? Yes. Ronnie?
Yes.
And I will also vote yes. Okay, new business item number 3, opening of water splash pad at Steel Street Park. Again, we have Brown Simpson. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept item number 3.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Okay, motion and a second. Brownie?
Yes, ma'am. This would be our final piece of our outdoor facilities that we have not opened yet. Governor McMaster gave permission for swimming pools and water splash pads, to be open. We are asking permission to open the one at Steel Street Park. I did attach some guidelines that we have put together. Currently, the guidelines from the governor allow an unrestricted amount of people to use a swimming pool at one time or a water splash pad. We're suggesting that we post signage and urging no more than 10 participants at one time for the use of our water spray pad. Also, we would add to that signage, use at your own risk. And just really asking parents to be responsible for ensuring that the children stay at least 6 feet apart while using the water spray pad. The best thing about the water spray pad is you only have to touch the bollard to actually activate it, or run your hand over the top of the bollard, because it's sensor driven. So we're asking if we can open that back up. We've had some requests to open that back up, but we've kind of been cautious not to open that up yet, but we feel like the time that we can do that, and we're looking at possibly, with your approval, to open that back up on Friday of this week. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer that. We'll make sure we post these on our Facebook account, also on our webpage, and then also too, we're going to add some signage at that water spray pad too, urging this caution if you allow us to open it back up.
Questions for Brown?
I have a question. Brown, and before COVID, did we have a sign that said participate at your own risk or anything like that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Ms. Heemsaw asked if we had a sign previous to COVID that indicated you were playing at your own risk.
No, ma'am, not at the water splash pad. We have not.
In keeping with her question and our need to add that, I think we should add that to all open recreation areas, because we are not providing and cannot provide oversight at each. So I would like to recommend that we move forward with that type of signage at each park.
Yes, ma'am. We have a general set of rules of our signage at all our parks, and that is one thing that we can add to that signage is that language that Ms. Heemsaw asked about.
Thank you.
I have a question, Brown. The splash pad, is it large enough to hold 10 people at 6 feet apart?
Yes, sir. I think we can get, it's pretty big enough that we can get at least 10 people there and spread them out good enough. And of course, when you activate the water splash pad, it runs about on a 3-minute cycle, and then somebody can walk back over and just rub their hand about the top of the bollard, and it re-energizes it and starts it all over again.
That's fresh water every time?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, any further questions?
I'll say, this is one of the ones that I'm struggling with. I'm not sure completely why. I think it's mainly because I know it's kids and they're going to go to where the water's shooting up, and they'll be in tighter areas. It is water though, so it is a good thing washing off and keeping vapors low. So I'm okay with it, given that we monitor this. And just monitor the usage and making sure that the parents, the kids that are using it, are doing so in a safe manner, but also just being mindful if the numbers go up, particularly as a result of people who've used this park, we definitely will have to consider shutting it down. But I would certainly like to watch. I'm planning on riding by once it does open, just to make sure we don't have 20, 30 people at the pad at one time.
And Ms. Cook, we limit the amount of, it's not a 24-hour cycle. We schedule that water spray pad. The time on it is from 10:30 in the morning until 8:30 at night, as far as the time of usage on it.
All right, thank you.
And I think it is, I agree with you, Lisa, it's a little bit difficult, because the cases aren't receding. However, it's no different than the park being open, and we say don't, have activities structured for more than a certain number of people. It's impossible, to regulate everyone. So, we're gonna do this and put the language out there, your own risk. We'll put the recommendations, and I do agree with you, it's pretty scary. But, you know, that's the very best we can do. So, thank you for, any further questions or comments? Hearing none, Trudy, we'll start with you. How do you vote? Bonnie?
No.
Bonnie votes no. Larry votes yes. Jamie?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
And Chris Moody?
No.
I've got 2 no's. The remainder, I'll vote yes. The remainder votes. So we are opening that particular part. New business item number 4, Town of Fort Mill, for holding events during COVID-19. Jaconna Hester, our event planner, will be our expert on guide on this. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept new business item.
Motion to accept.
Yes.
Second. Is Jaconna on the line?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Good to hear y'all this morning. Well, due to the governor relaxing the guidelines related to large community events and mass gatherings, we would like to hold our previously planned summer concerts on July 17th and August 14th, 2020. We would like to hold the July 17th concert at Veterans Park and the August 14th concert at Water Elijah Park, which also includes fireworks. And in the packet that you received, you will see the map of the layout and plans for keeping the attendance to 250 or less, which is what is recommended by the governor. The areas will be fenced in with a designated entrance and exit to avoid attendees crossing paths. We will promote these events on social media and will promote our social distancing guidelines with our promotions, as well as have signs at our events with social distancing guidelines. We will keep the number to 250 or less, including the band, its members, town employees, and food truck vendors. We're going to provide hand washing stations, porta-johns, and roll carts. And then we'll have the food and trucks and beer and wine trailers, which of course are required to follow all CDC and SCDHEC guidelines for serving during COVID-19.
Well,
So we would like to ask Kansas.
I think the effort that you've put forth, Jaconna, is pretty important to try and establish a path for us to see something return to normalcy. But I, for one, feel like a parent, and I'm not ready to do this. So I think in light of we were uncomfortable doing our historic July the 4th celebration, it's only a couple of weeks between the two. So I don't know how my fellow council members feel, but I'm uncomfortable with the town encouraging a gathering. It's hard enough to allow people to come to the parks or the pool and gather at their own risk and in their own guidance. We just don't have the ability to enforce this. I know you've got it in print and you did an excellent job, so please don't have your feelings hurt, but I'm just not ready to do it. Council, questions, comments?
I got a feeling too, even though we do try to keep this at 250, being that it's basically the only thing that's gonna be happening anywhere in our area.
Mm-hmm.
People are gonna be coming out of the woodwork to attend it. I see it getting out of hand very, very quickly. Plus, I think down there, aren't they gonna start construction on that intersection down there by Memorial Park?
Yes, so they're gonna start in the next week or two. We feel like we're actually meeting tomorrow for pre-construction meeting on site. Their plan was to get started on July the 6th with the program. figure with them, mobilizing that and only using a small portion of that field, we didn't think with the timing that the DOT operates that it would affect this one event. But it is something to be concerned about should they do so. So we have a plan in place. Should that have happened, we would have shifted it to Walker Wildlife Park. But we certainly understand the concern in the overall numbers of COVID and idea of the 250 or less. It would be a challenge to keep those numbers that, like Mr. Shire said, that it's one of the few things, so everyone's looking for something to do. So we certainly, staff understands that.
I hope so.
And we have other opportunities to work on in the future.
And Mr. Shary, the intersection, are you referring to the work on Claiborne for the third lane?
Yes, ma'am.
And our fact, it is a go to move forward and hopefully be completed by the end of the year. So at the absolute, we will have more congestion and construction equipment in that general area. So I say that's another good reason.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Jamie. I mean, I just feel like, I want everybody to have fun, but at the same time, if we're the only one doing anything, people will probably be trying to come from all over, and then I don't know. So better be safe than sorry.
I just, when we, canceled or postponed the 4th of July, my mailbox filled up ugly comments. I think that, happy. And I think it's a good idea. Thank you, Jacana, very much for your hard work. But I just think that it's too soon.
Everybody hear Trudy?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Trudy is alluding to the fact that once we canceled the July the 4th, that her mailbox as well as mine filled up with people disappointed, and some were very unhappy that it flies in the face to do it 2 weeks after. And, it's just one of those things where we have to make a tough decision. It is. And she thanks Jacana for her hard work.
Yeah.
All right.
I would agree that.
We have allowed other mass gathering of people, and, I don't see any problem with this.
Well, I'd like to address that because that has come up in my email as well.
What was that, Gwen? I did not hear Mr. Huntley.
Get ready to cover what he said. Mr. Huntley brought up that we've allowed other mass gatherings, and I will tell you that there's a constitutional right for an assembly of peaceful folks. We don't have the right to take that away, but we do have the right to not schedule an event and invite people to it. So anybody, I got the same thing in my email. I want that clearly heard, and I want it understood. We will abide by our constitutional requirements, the laws, and then we will, as Chris Moody stated, we will move forward with caution to protect the health and safety of our constituency.
And as you said, Mayor, that this is a town-sponsored function, not a group of people who decide to come together on their own accord.
Correct.
So when it's a town-sponsored function, that then becomes our responsibility to make sure everyone stays safe. So just keep that in the back of your mind also. And I'm not opposed to, I'm just looking at it, God knows, I'm a big kid when it comes to fireworks. I hate that we did everything, we bent over backwards to try to get 4th of July to work, and it just didn't. So then turn around and have this on the 17th, it just doesn't make sense. But I'm still keeping optimistic for August. I'm hoping all this, finally we can get past all this and get back to a normal, whatever the new normal is gonna look like,
Further questions? Hearing none. Lisa, how do you vote?
No.
Chris Moody?
No.
Jamie Shirey?
No.
Mr. Huntley?
Yes.
Trudy?
No.
Ronnie?
No.
And I also will vote no. Thank you so much, Jacana, for your effort.
Yes.
Thank you, Jacana.
Thank you. No, thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all considering that, and we certainly understand. And I just wanted to say, would you like me to bring forth the August one at the next meeting in July, or a little later in July, so we can determine at that point how things are going?
Let's look at our second meeting in July, if that suits everyone.
Let's see if we'll revisit it.
Okay, we'll revisit the
Okay.
second meeting. All right.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. I
Thank
swallowed
you.
my water the wrong way.
That hurt.
Well, you can't get over it very quickly.
No.
New business item number 5, first reading, an ordinance authorizing the execution and filing of a quitclaim deed for a platted right-of-way easement. Davey Broom is our expert. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
and a second. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The town was approached by the property owners at 123 West Oak Street in Fort Mill, to request, a quitclaim deed for, years ago when the neighborhood was developed, there were alleyways, dedicated alleyways, added between properties. And this, in recent years, over the years, we're not really sure who owns the alleyways, but they were just a piece of property that went unused. So from time to time, property owners approach the town to obtain a quitclaim deed so that they can take over that portion of property. And it's, I think it's about a 10-foot wide easement, 10 or 20 foot. It's not a large easement, but the property owners at 123, home they built has a fence on it that was previously there prior to them purchasing it. It was already overtaking that alleyway. So they're just asking for now that they're getting ready to sell the home, if we would issue them a quitclaim deed to help move along the purchase of the property or the sale of the property.
I will continue to ask for votes, but I will recuse myself from this particular vote because I have sold a piece of property at that same address, but will have a new address. But I'd like to recuse myself from this one if I can.
Thank you, Mayor.
Do I need to sign something?
No, ma'am.
Questions on this quitclaim request?
Who would the property then go to?
It would, the new purchaser of the property would take that over. Now, again, the quitclaim is, we're saying that the town of Fort Mill, if we are owners of that property, then we're deeding that property to them at no cost.
And Clear Springs is, I understand Clear Springs has also been executed a quitclaim deed to the same strip. It's a 10 by 150 foot strip. It's impossible to determine who owns it. We've done a title search on it. I think truly the developer of the Whiteville Park originally still owns it. Town may have acquired some interest in it by virtue of the fact that it's a platted alleyway. So we've done this before. This is not the first time we've done this, where Clear Springs and town joined in with claim of property, a parcel which was potentially a road or alleyway to a property.
And we don't have any utilities or anything that we need to get to back there to have access? No.
That's what we had, the town allowed, Springs allowed, that roadway between our house and our neighbor's house.
During or the neighbor next door didn't have any claim to that same piece of property?
I mean, if we can approach it from the standpoint of it's a roadway and we need to abandon it, and if we abandoned it, which I don't think it is a roadway for purposes of ingress and egress, but if we went that route, we would have to notify the neighbor.
Right.
But at this point, the strip has been enclosed in the property that the house sits on. I don't think anybody claims that it's their property. I think it's just a matter of just cleaning up the file.
Further discussion?
I'm just trying to think of, that's where the town actually has property on the backside of that, don't we? Isn't that where we had a gentleman that came here a couple years ago, they were trying to purchase to get up in there, because we just had a little strip, you can't really access.
We didn't own the property, it's the same situation. It was a platted road which would have accessed that property in the back, but, it was never used as a road, and we did the same thing. Town quit claim, Clear Springs quit claim to the property.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, do get done that too.
Further discussion or questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I didn't notice in our packet the actual map, but if we are looking at the property from the road, are we talking about the sliver of land that is to the right of the house?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Because it does look like, to somebody's point, I think it was Ronnie's, that it does touch two other property owners.
And I want to mention this, sometime earlier, I think Dave, you may have the date, that alleyway, half of that alleyway was conveyed to the other property owner on, what's the other
The
street?
backside, which would then, is it Leroy Street?
So that, half of that alleyway has already been conveyed to the property owner that backs up to this particular 123 West.
And that was, I believe, in 1991.
Further questions? Hearing none, the motion on the table is to approve this request for quitclaim. Trudy, how do you vote?
In favor.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Chris Moody?
Yes.
I am abstaining from this particular vote. Right, new business item number 6. Consideration of an amended emergency ordinance related to the continued reopening of parks and recreational facilities and programs. This is Chris Pettit. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept new business item number 6.
Thank you.
Second.
And I have a second. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, Mayor. This item is, we're trying to just go ahead and formalize, via the ordinance, the votes that were taken previously this morning. So, on new business, and I apologize, I'm working on the agenda here. The previous actions relate to reopening the tournament play, the splash pad, and the events. Currently, as the ordinance was drafted, it was reopening all of those, but since council denied the reopening of the event, if council would like to just make an amended motion to approve this ordinance with the language to, based off the prior approvals or something of that nature, that would just formalize things based off your votes.
Questions for Mr. Pettit?
So you're saying we need to amend this to exclude events?
Correct. You would need to amend it to exclude the events.
Do we need to approve it first and then amend it, or amend it first and then approve it? Okay, I move to make an amendment to exclude the events from this ordinance.
I'll second that. Okay, we now have a motion on the table to approve with an amendment. Barry, do we have to vote for the first motion?
Who made the initial motion? I would say, I suggest that Jamie amend the motion and then vote on the amended motion
Okay.
with a second.
All right.
So I make a motion to accept with an amendment to exclude the events.
Second.
Second.
Amended motion on the table. Trudy, how do you vote?
In favor.
Ronnie?
In favor?
I'll vote in favor. Larry? Lisa?
Yes.
Chris Moody?
Yes.
And Jamie Sharp?
Yes.
Alrighty then, new business item number 7. Proposal for a joint planning advisory board with the town of Fort Mill, city of TBK, and York County. Penelope is our expert. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
A motion to approve?
Mayor,
Yes.
when you ask for a motion and it seems all says I'll make that motion, we don't really know what that motion is.
That's why I just asked.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just asked her if it's a motion to approve or
Okay,
deny. Yes, thank you for pointing that out. I've been trying to catch it. Okay? Are you making a motion to approve?
Yes.
All right, Trudy has made a motion to approve. Do we have a second? And we have a second from Larry. Penelope, would you like to talk?
Good morning, Mayor and council members. This is the planning directors of the area with Town of Fort Mill representing TGK and also York County. We were invited in January to discuss an option of working together in some form of having a joint planning advisory. And the materials that I provided for you is just the chronological order from January until now of discussions. The latest, if you look at your exhibit, Fort Mill Township Planning Advisory, if they're calling it the PAB for acronym, it's the Concept 2.0. The proposal is basically 10 members, 3 appointed from Fort Mill, TGK, and the unincorporated York County north of the Catawba River representatives. And then there would be 1 non-voting member from the school board. Their primary goal for this was to basically look at everything that would require approval of council. It would be an extra layer of going first to the Joint Planning Advisory Board, and then it would go to our Planning Commission, each person's local jurisdiction Planning Commission, and then to the Town Council, or in the case of York County, they would go to York County, but council would be the final approval for rezoning, text amendments, and comp plans or any type of studies. And I'm here to answer any questions.
I would like to add that we covered this a little bit in a discussion item in our last meeting. For those of you that were not a part of the last meeting, I have been a party to discussions on this for over a year. It was first mentioned in a joint meeting at Nation Fort High School between TGK, the county, and Fort Mill that we needed to have some vehicle to collectively discuss projects that might impact the region as a whole. I think that is a good idea. I think having our planning managers discuss our 10-year plans is a good idea. But the structure as it is written and the intent as it has come to, I cannot support, because it does add another layer of counsel or guide or recommendation that unfortunately, because of the timing, would be in a public forum prior to our planning commission being provided this as an item for their discussion, and then our council seeing it. Now, they would not be in a decision-making capacity. I want that to be clear, because each of you will have to make your own determination how to vote today. They will not be a voting body, but they will make a recommendation. They will have to notice their meetings as public. And I just think it kind of puts our information out there prior to our very own planning commission having the right to review and discuss. So I'm very torn on this one, because I do think discussion and collective reasoning for the region is a good thing. I'm just not totally comfortable yet with the way it has been proposed for us to move forward.
I know we have had problems with somebody who wants to be annexed. And if we didn't annex them, they were just gone to the county and built it anyway. So maybe that would help. I don't know. Maybe that would help something like that.
Did y'all hear what Larry said?
No, ma'am.
He said we have had issues in the past of people coming to us for annexation, and if we denied, they would go straight to the county. And he's thinking that, certainly this idea might be of help in that regard. Comments? Questions?
I'm like the discussion we had before when Jamie, remember what Jamie said, it's just gonna hold us up even longer, especially if we're in a time-sensitive area of trying to get something, trying to go through another board, then another board, then another board, get stuff done.
Any further questions?
I have one.
Go ahead.
On page 3 in the packet, I mean, I'm asking staff here, you've got full joint planning, PC, Fort Mill joint, Fort Mill TK joint. I mean, would we select one of these options in the vote? Because that was what was a little confusing to me.
That's a good question, Mr. Moody. Basically, when we first started out, they gave us options of what would work, what could we choose from. And so, they talked about the full town, like a full township for the Joint Planning Commission, or joining TK and Fort Mill. And we did not agree to it. I mean, we came down to a compromise from the list to go for a planning advisory board. So these were just the preliminary at the beginning. What could we do? What could be considered? And through discussions with the mayors and staff, from these criteria of this options, we compromised or selected to further research the Joint Planning Advisory Board.
Okay.
Any, got a comment?
No, I'm all for, our planning department heads talking to each other. They should have a good dialogue between us and our neighbors. This is just another layer of, I can't think of anybody in the state of South Carolina who wants to put another layer of government between them and what they want to go. Flies in the face of what South Carolina stands for. We've never wanted anything like that. It's nothing but a power grab. I said, if they come to us and we say no, and then they run to the county, and the county says, what do? Well, that's half the problem. The county should never have been in the residential development game. They should have stuck with municipality, commercial development, and making sure that all the utilities ran. Anything they had to do with residential should have been left in the municipalities. That way we would have been able to actually control the growth that's happening, because we've been overrun now with everything because the county just rubber stamps it all.
And Council Member Shari, I just want to let you know that the planners in this region, with the City of Rock Hill, York County, Lancaster County, City of TK, and myself and my staff, we have a really good open relationship, communication. There's a lot of times we use all of our expertise to ask questions and to see what we can do to help better the planning in our area.
And Penelope, I have 1,000% worth of respect for you, and I know that you're going to do a phenomenal job. You don't need us between them and you. You can do this well on your own. You don't need to have another committee to you to answer to. You are well equipped to do this in the position that you already have.
Thank you.
Well, and I think there's synergies, but if you guys are already talking, I agree with Shari. And I mean, to me, this is another added layer of bureaucracy and growing government, and it's going to slow things down even more. But I'm only one vote, so.
I could see this working if it impacted, our neighbor, if what we were doing were impacting them, and then get advice from them, But as far as putting a layer in there where we got to discuss it first, I don't see that.
And that's where I thought this all started when it was first came around. It's like, yeah, we have a really big project that's going to be right on the border. Let's all get together and talk about how it's going to impact everybody. And I'll use Kingsley as an example. We didn't hear about that until after the deal was done. Half the people who did that deal didn't even know it was in Fort Mill. Are you kidding me? And these are the people that want to run the committee now?
I will give credit to the suggestion that it's equitably attended, whereas in other collective groups such as RFAC, the numbers are very different, for each, based on population for each attendee in that planning region. I would just say collective planning is very, very difficult. I do think we need to strengthen our ability to reach out. That will, yeah, I sound like a dog barking, I know. But I just the way it's written and to be executed, I do not believe it will help us. Further questions or comments?
I like the direction you started the conversation with, Mayor. Having a function, one or two projects that we work on collectively, like a comprehensive plan, our 10-year plan, something that we do work on collectively as Penelope continues to improve on relationships. Again, I think there is a purpose and a reason to have the collaboration, but let's do something specific rather than starting to work on additional layers of bureaucracy for getting movement through our various council or committees.
And that is a good point, Councilmember Cook, because the average person, the average citizen, doesn't really know where they live. And, when we're looking at comp plans, we should look at that we have similar goals, even with our ordinances, because we're so close to TGK and parts of the unincorporated area. We need to look at collectively to have similar rules, because those geographical lines are kind of interlapping, crossing over. And I think that would be a better regional planning initiative to have the same goals.
Yeah, I like that idea. Again, we don't want somebody to try to move it into the town. We vote no, but then they move it to the county because the county's ordinances are different and accept. And it happens to be, the same piece of property. So I am in favor of that type of a partnership with less of an overall arching group of authority.
Well, and one of the examples that was discussed among the group was, let's just say, a very nice steakhouse has decided to come to our area. They've approached Fort Mill, they've approached TKK, and they're looking at a piece of property in the county. It would have been expected that this group would look at it, and that's going to be an interesting quandary as to which entity can best host it or which one gives the most tax in lieu. And I think we don't have an economic development director within the town. County does. And, that's supposed to help all of us. So I just feel like it's not written well enough for me to agree with it at this point in time. So with that, Trudy, the motion on the table is to approve. How do you vote? No from Trudy. Ronnie?
No.
I vote no. Larry?
No.
Jamie?
An emphatic no.
Lisa?
No.
Chris Moody?
No.
All right, so we have a unanimous, respectful decline for this as it is written for new business item number 7. We will now look at information and discussion items. Item number 1, progress update pertaining to Walter Y. Elijah Park. Davey Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make this really brief. Just wanted to provide council an update on where we sit on 2 of our projects. The Walter Y. Elijah Park project, we held a pre-construction meeting this past Friday with the contractor, Keckman Wood, and all the town staff involved. From my understanding, the notice to proceed was issued on that same day. We're actually meeting with the contractor again on site today with our stormwater department and utilities. We anticipate them breaking ground this week. They're ready to move forward. We're ready for them to move forward. So just on our meeting today, we will take and develop a message that we can put out on our social media accounts. But the project we're about to see it get underway. So I know I'm excited about it. I'm sure you are. For the the Banks Athletic Park, just wanted to briefly touch on it. It's still in the works. The overall site plan has been approved. In the meantime, we had to seek out an architect for any of the buildings that's being added to the site. All of that's been completed. The staff is reviewing those plans at this time, and upon approval of that, going through staff approval, we will be ready to advertise and accept bids on the project. So we will provide council a more in-depth update as we get closer to the end of the current plans, making sure everything fits the way it's supposed to fit, and then we can move forward upon your review with advertising the project, getting it underway. So those are my two updates on those two projects.
On the Walter Elisha, are they gonna start on the roadside, or are they gonna start in the park? In other words, what I'm asking, are they gonna block that road off from White Street up to Fell Street, or?
At this time, the plan is to leave Archer Street open, but again, we'll get more information today on site.
Okay.
We anticipate them closing off the lower parking lot. That's where they will be mobilizing and setting up to begin the project, the amphitheater and the restroom.
Will that restrict parking in the lower parking lot?
Yes, ma'am. It will restrict parking in the lower parking lot. We will be advertising parking at California Street Park, and the overflow lot we have along, I think it's Loons Way. So we'll be offering up parking in those locations.
Thank you. I think that's important we just opened the park. I think it's important that we make sure people know that can still access the park safely.
I know when the park was closed, they were parking in Springs' parking lot, walking over. There was a lot of cars parked over there.
Yes.
We do not have permission from Springs Global to use that parking lot. So at one time they had a little chain across.
They're taking those down.
They have.
Yeah.
All right. Davey, thank you. I think it's important to note, and I believe we did the last time we spoke on this subject, that the Banks Park has been planned for many years. When the waterside development was brought to council and we agreed on a development plan for it, or design plan for it, that particular parcel was donated to the town specifically to build a park. The ballparks we were replacing. We've been open about that because the ones at the complex, our lease on those is expiring and we cannot continue to lease those into the future. So I want the intent of that park in Waterside to be understood. It has been there many years, preceded the construction of the first home in Waterside. So I just want to be very clear about that. Any further questions, comments about Davy's discussion item?
Davy, I did not hear any specific timing dates of at least completion or how long the projects. What do we have for each of these?
For the Walter Elisha Park, the completion date is April of 2021. And our hopes are that the weather works in our favor, and that we will be able to utilize this park, the entire park, for our 2021 South Carolina Strawberry Festival in Fort Mill. So that's our hope. It's a 300-day project, and we will be monitoring that closely with the contractor. For the Banks Athletic Park, that's a much bigger or cloudier time frame. Once we have the ability to advertise it and put it out for bid, receive those bids, we'll have a better understanding after we award the contract. We'll meet with the contractor and get a closer and a more firm date on that. But we anticipate beginning that project. We would like to see it begin this year, 2020. And typically, I would guess anywhere probably about a 12-month to 18-month turnaround on the building of the park and having the fields in place ready to go.
And with both of these contracts, we do have penalties in place if our deadlines, so the 300 days aren't met, assuming the 300 days started at the time of the contract being awarded.
Well, it began on the date of notice to proceed, which my understanding was this past Friday.
That cuts it close on 300 days by the end of April, wouldn't it?
But still the April timeframe was what we were discussed in Friday's meeting for their completion date.
Okay. Thank you.
And then everybody needs to know if we have, with 2020 going the way it's going, we could have monsoons, we could have blizzards,
Volcano.
yeah, the great grasshoppers. I'm just saying, we have to understand that there are things that could elongate this schedule.
Out of their control.
Out of their control. Out of our control. All right. Thank you so much, Davey, for that update. Committee report number 1, Mr. Huntley and Penelope. Mr. Huntley's over that committee, and Penelope will be our expert. It's a report of the ad hoc appointment committee, consideration of appointment to the planning commission. We will have to take a vote at the end of this, but I prefer not to call for a motion until we know what we're voting on. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right. Penelope?
Yes, Mayor. We had a planning commissioner resign, Mr. Tom Petty, and his term expires April 12th of 2022. So we did have an ad hoc appointments committee meeting. We had a number of fine individuals volunteering for that opening, and the committee recommended to appoint Dan H. Stout Jr. to fill the resignation seat term, and it will expire on April 12th of 2022.
I sit on that committee, and I too would like to say we've had some tremendously talented individuals off. This time you serve on a volunteer committee for the town, it's unpaid, and it's out of the goodness of your heart that you wish to devote your time to your community, and I'd like to thank each and every one of them. The person that is being recommended was uniquely qualified. He had previous experience in this role and in a zoning board role that somewhat was really hard to ignore. I just want everyone to understand how much we appreciate people volunteering, and we will search to find areas where these folks can contribute. It was a hard decision, but an easy decision at the same time.
What was his last name?
Stout, S-T-O-U-T.
Penelope, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, sir.
What, so I know Tom Petty has been in Ward 4 for years and years. What ward is a new applicant residing in?
I believe he's not in Ward 4. I think he's in Ward 1. Let me double make sure.
I think you're right, Penelope. And Mr. Moody, to your point, the committee looks very strongly at ensuring we have balance in each of the wards. And in this case, we were able to select someone that had experience in that field that was very compelling.
So will Ward 4 not have anybody, I guess, move after this until, I guess, 2 years or next year?
Yes, at this time they wouldn't have anyone, but we do have 2 appointments for next year that will expire.
Okay. I was just asking. I mean, I was looking at the sheet here and noticed it looked like Tom Petty was the only one from 4 anyway. And I see some have 2, some have 1. I'm fine with the appointment. I was just asking. Just wondering.
Yes,
Whatever's
sir.
best for the town, the best decision. So I will go on the recommendation of the committee.
So you get to vote on that. I'll go to you first. How do you vote on the recommendation by the committee to place Mr. Stout on the planning board?
Mayor.
Yeah.
As a
Oh, we need that
We need to
motion.
We do a motion?
Yes, we need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the recommendation of the ad hoc committee for the planning commission appointees. Okay, are they okay?
Yes, sir, thank you. Do I have a second? A second. Now I'll ask you, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chris Moody, how do you vote?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Can now. Lisa, how do you vote?
Approve.
Jamie?
Approve.
Larry?
Yes.
Trudy?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes,
And I will also vote yes.
big lay down to Dylan.
Thank you so much. All
Thank
right. We have no further committee reports, information, discussions, but we do have one item for executive session.
Can I ask a question for you? What is it?
Yes, you can.
Is the water tank under use now or not?
The water tank is in use.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty then.
It took about a week to fill, but it is in use at this moment.
Did everybody hear that the water tank is now operational?
Great. And the fire station was my second question on those.
The fire station is also operational. We have 2 shifts working out of it now. And we hope when COVID relaxes a little more, that we'll be able to have a grand opening ceremony, for all the members of staff. So we'll pass that information along very soon on that.
Thank you. And it's beautiful, by the way. It's beautiful. It's a nice asset for our community.
And I have a question about the fire station. Do we normally, invite the public in at some point to see it? Is that?
When we're not in COVID, we'll do an open house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Open house, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Okay.
We will plan one in the future, but until such time that it's safe
Sure, I
to
know, yeah.
encourage. All right, we do have an executive session item. Please note council may take action on executive session items listed on the agenda when they come back into public session. Our executive session item number 1, receipt of legal advice pertaining to town-owned or controlled property. Do I have a motion to move into executive session?
I make that motion.
Second.
Executive session.
I have a motion and a second. Lisa, how do you vote?
Agree.
Chris Moody,
Yes.
Jamie Shirey,
Yes.
Larry Huntley,
Yes.
Trudy Heansall,
Yes.
Ronnie Helm,
Yes.
and I will also vote yes. With that, we will move into executive session. All right, we have exited our executive session. I will entertain a motion to go back into regular session.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Trudy Heansall, and a second by Mr. Huntley. Lisa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chris Moody?
Yes.
Trudy?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Me, yes. All right, we are back in the regular session. Let the record reflect that no vote was taken during executive session. We've had a long morning. We've done a lot of hard work, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for participating and doing what you do. Our town is a better place because you serve. I'd like to thank you, and I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for adjournment. Trudy?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
And myself, I hope there's biscuits left at Hardee's. We will adjourn this meeting.